Right, if you just joined us, this is still Enterprise Weekend reaching you from our headquarters in Lagos, in Nigeria, and Enterprise Television, BBS. Now let's go to our conversation for today. Nigeria's Minister of Finance, Wale Edun, this week announced the plans by the federal government to relaunch the suspended school feeding program. The plan, according to the government, is to increase school attendance and improve students' health and well-being. The program is part of the government's initiative to strengthen education and provide access to quality learning for all children. Edun reaffirmed the government's commitment to prioritizing education and tackling critical issues through innovative initiatives. The relaunch follows President Bola Tinubu's suspension of the program in January due to alleged irregularities in the management of the National Social Investment Program Agency. The minister spoke during a meeting with the House of Representatives Committee on Alternative Education, addressing the pressing issue of our school children in Nigeria. With us today to do justice to all that we have virtually, we have High Chief Peter Ame. He is the former chairman of the Inter-Party Advisory Council. Good morning, High Chief.
Can you hear me now?
Thank you so very much for your time. And in the studios with us is Barrister Vance Feli, a barrister at law and public affairs analyst. Good morning, Barrister.
Good morning, thank you.
Yes, and also to join us by the time he does, we have Yunusa Tanko, chief spokesperson of the Obi Dati campaign. So there we have it. And let's get into the crux of the matter here. And the school feeding program, of course, is not new to us. It started in 2005 as made possible by President Olusegun Obasanjo. However, it was discontinued after 2 years and revived in 2015 by Muhammad Buhari. Since then, it's been on and off, and it's just, of course, it got brought back and of course suspended, and now being to bring it back again. High Chief, would love to ask you, with these irregularities, do you think at the end of the day the government has achieved the purpose of having children fed and see them get interested in education in Nigeria?
Thank you for having me. Yes, the initiative to feed children all over the world, especially in Sub-Saharan Africa and other places, is a good initiative to be able to bring nutrition to the table of less privileged children. But the fact is that there are certain priorities that needed to be gotten right before you can now say you are feeding children. Because as of today, the inflation rate is very massive. And before, when it started, it was 17 naira per meal. That was the budget. And it was increased to 100 naira per meal. As we speak today, what level of nutrition can 100 naira guarantee for a child? An egg today is 150 naira for just one egg. So you can't have a budget, you can't have a program that was already, that inflation has eaten so deep upon because of the bad and irrational policy decisions of this government. And then you wake up, you want to, that means that program will run based on corruption. The children will get what they need. The money will not be properly utilized for the purpose, because you can't, but your budget should not be less than the cost of what you are trying to achieve. And we must say this. I, for one, believe that in setting proper agenda for the revamping of our school system and educational system, government must prioritize these issues. One, are these schools that these children are attending, are they comfortable enough for people to be part of the process? Is the school environment comfortable enough? The children have playgrounds. Do they have toys at that level? Do they have access to textbook and exercise book? And is those buildings not in decay and disrepair and in a bad state that children can no longer be comfortable in? Because I've been around some schools, even in the Federal Capital Territory, as far back as close as Utako here, as close as Apo, you find out the structures of these schools are nothing to write home about. So I believe that sometimes, if you look at what they say, 100 naira to feed 10 million children, they talk about 10 billion naira, but that couldn't work. Now they are looking at about 550 billion, because of the level of inflation that is there. As of last December, when the budget was passed, to feed, it was looking at about 100 billion to carry out. But we are looking at 550 billion, and they are talking about private sector initiative to come to participate. For what I'm saying, for government to be able to do this right, for government to be able to capture the essence of promoting people to children, parents to bring their children to school and encourage them to come to school, government must focus on two things. One, focus on how to make sure that the economy is strengthened. Focus to make sure that the school learning environment is conducive enough for people to learn, that there are comfortable seats that these students, desks that these students will use, that there's an interactive board that is now happening all over the world now, where private schools and other schools already have access to, that children can easily learn and make learning easy between the teachers and the students, and then make sure that there are school buses that can even convey the students to school. Because I don't think the budget that the federal government has, if we must be sincere with ourselves, if it's not because of the intent to maybe, because if you look at the essence, they say that they will connect farmers to the vendors who will be making this food. Like I said, there are other connecting issues, but connecting vendors to vendors does not always solve this problem. What we should do, what is the government investment in agriculture? Because the President Tinubu, don't forget, said something when he got into office, that he was going to be tilling 500,000 hectares of land for agriculture. He has not tilled 1 square meter. So you can't have a government whose policies are irrational, whose policies are inconsistent, whose policies are not cannot be sustainable over a long period of time, to come and making decisions about school feeding program. If a program is not, it was suspended, we didn't see the effect. As I'm talking to you, if we agree that the government agree, let's set up a national board of inquiry today to investigate this program. You will know this program is deep rooted in corruption, and it has also taken our money into private pocket, because nobody is seeing the effect of the school feeding program. It's a selective generosity. And yes, we run a mixed economy. We want to bring socialism and capitalism to meet so that you can have, you give out social amenities, social welfare to people, and then create a capitalist system that generates wealth. But you must get it right. And if you must get it right, you must get the priorities of government right.
Thank you so very much, High Chief. Barrister Fansufeli. High Chief talked about irrational policies by the government of today.
Yes.
Now, when you see this, of course, we understand the importance of nutrition to children.
Yes.
But I would love to say, does it look like the administration over the years have often, had the cart before the horse? What should come first? Is it having a conducive environment for kids to learn before feeding them, or ensuring that they are fed, in quote, and of course, while they are schooling and learning under a dilapidated structure?
No, I think both of them should be applied pari passu. They should come together. Okay. The conducive environment to learn is a condition precedent. And if you have a conducive environment and the children are hungry, they still will not learn. Okay, so it takes nutrition to actually develop the brain of a child. In fact, it is said by science that until you are 26, your brain is not fully developed. And you need nutrition to have that developed. So for the children to learn and be smart and really deploy their intellectual skills to enhance their inner faculties, they need to be well fed, and they need to be kept under positive environment, good environment, because the environment plays 50% role in the development of a child, and then the other has to do with other connections. But what the federal government is trying to do is, I don't think they are getting it right. The federal government alone cannot handle this project. There must be state contribution. That state contribution must be such that you have maybe a policy, or you can also inculcate it under the universal basic education. Okay, draw a policy from there. Since you have an act, an enabling act, and you have universal basic education, and you have universal basic education commission. Now that commission can then interface with the state. Let state bring counterpart funding. You see, because the truth is that if you are going to go around all the schools and then make education attractive, it's not only food you need. You need to give the children toys. You need to give them comics. You need to give them other incentives, okay, that will make education attractive and learning very incentive. So if you don't do that, the federal government, but each time we talk about the introduction and reintroduction, they're always talking about how many billion, how many trillion, how many, it's all about the money. Most times the discussion is about the budget. The discussion should go beyond the budget. It should go to the strategy. What are the strategies the government intends to deploy? Okay, how do you get state counterpart funding to increase what the federal government have at hand? How do you link farmers directly to this? Because what they did before, the APC government in 2015, was to create a situation where farmers can easily, those who do the catering service, have a link with the farmers, and then government have a way of buying those produce
at subsidized prices.
Yeah, so that you could have a win-win situation. It is to indirectly impact and improve farmers, impact and improve labor, that is those industrial caterers, and also impact and improve education from the children. So it's supposed to be a win-win situation. The policies like this that have, this value chain is where federal government should invest more in, so that from that point you have employment, you have education, good education, then you have encouragement for farmers and incentive for them to do what they have to do. But as at the time, the policy was left off because the president suspended the policy in January 12th, okay, and then suspended some of the persons involved in the previous, plus the current, the Betty Edu and all that, all were in January, okay, when all the suspension. Now the federal want to, what is the strategy now? Is it the same strategy they deployed in the past that left too many loopholes? Is it the same thing they are going to adopt again? Because the truth is that one minister that is sitting there will also do the same thing that the one before he did. There's no guarantee that they will not do the same thing. So the federal government must, as a matter of necessity, deploy this strategy this time around different from what they had in the past. And that is to ensure that they bring experts, audit the process regularly, maybe every month, and then check transparency and accountability. If you have transparency and accountability, you'll be rest assured that this food will get to the children, monies will get to farmers, the caterers will get their money. But when there's no accountability, no audit, nothing, they are just rolling. That was the reason why a minister told us that during the COVID, she was feeding children. She could say that because there's no audit, no report, nothing, no third-party interference. So why won't she say so? If she says so, are you going to argue with her that she went home to feed the children during the COVID and all that? So this policy is a very viable one. We should take it very serious because it borders on primary education. Education for all is, it's part of the UN SDG goals. So if the federal government is working towards that, they have to get it right.
Yes, High Chief, I remember very vividly in the early 90s and of course late 90s, there used to be some advertisement on national television, education for all, by the year 2000. That used to be a very, a popular slogan those days. Right now, we have about 21 million school children that are out of school, especially in the northern part of Nigeria. And this is born out of various reasons. Insurgency, terrorism, and tradition, religion, and so on and so forth. How do you think we can better achieve having kids come into school first before we even talk about feeding them?
What my colleague in the studio talked about the need for nutrition and all that. But there's a fact that you've forgotten. See, in a learning environment, you have talked about the importance of toys, school playgrounds, and all the other things, and the building that which I also spoke about. When you talked about the auditing, which is an issue. As I'm talking to you, I said it earlier. When we should set up this internal inquiry to check whether school children are being fed, you will find out that this money are going to private pockets. If you must create education for all children by year 2000, we saw the hard part, like you saw it.
Yeah.
It's not a reality today because of corruption. It's not a reality today because of no commitment of those in power to do what is right. You see, across Nigeria, our educational system is in decay. The infrastructures are abdicate. They are in total state of disrepair. We must put priority with 450 billion going into feeding that is like a ghost town that nobody can even give an accurate summary of those who have benefited. What is the nutrition level that has changed in that child? Because you could have brought doctors, you could have checked them when they come to school whether they were malnourished, and check them at the end of that year whether they have improved their nutrients in their body and every other thing has improved. Facts must be laid bare. It is clear that a good, clean learning environment is one of the things that first attract parents. Because the security matters.
Very true.
You talk about security in the north,
yeah.
As you talk across Nigeria, there's insecurity. It's not just north. People are not having it. If 20 students, 20 students were kidnapped in Benue here, medical students, you should know that across Nigeria there's insecurity. Even in rural communities today, people are using private school. In rural communities, rural community. In my own community, there's a private school. Public school are no longer attractive. Whether you bring this kwachoko meal or you don't bring the correct meal. What the problem is that we have no substandard learning environment for our children. There are no available textbooks for the children to read. There's no working libraries in all of the primary schools across Nigeria. There's no working libraries. There's no. Even if you have you seen the public toilet, the school toilet in these schools? Have you seen them? Have you seen them? The kind of, if not because the immune system of these children have been developed over time. What do you think it is sustainable? Right now that they are not feeding them, that the program was suspended. Are these children not capable? Are they not still going to school? Give them standard education. Their children will cover, their parents will cover the gap. Let's not feed corruption. Let's not feed the pocket of those who are benefiting from this unstructured, unplanned policy of government that nobody knows how the money is being spent. There's no breakdown of what was spent for each school. There's no school that has come out to say, this is the amount we have benefited, this is how many children have been fed. See, anything that is shaded, that is not done with transparency, that is not done with accountability, then there's corruption hidden in it. You suspended people, we don't know the level of investigation, we don't know what is the report are. So for school, for me, in my opinion, systems, that the government must invest more in our education system, from the actor of the environment. Today, public schools are ready. Some parents are ready to pay 2 million, 3 million, 5 million for their children to go to public school. You do know what they are best paying for? They are paying for the environment. They are paying for the conducive learning environment. That is the English. They are paying for the quality of teachers. Because our teachers are not being paid well across Nigeria. With the inflation rising above the roof of food inflation at 40.53% in April. And you're talking about the headline inflation that was 33.something%. As I speak to you, our teachers are still receiving meager salaries. Even the National Labor and Employment Ministry, they're supposed to be checking the level of payment and care private sector, private schools should take on employed teachers are not doing their jobs. You must drive this thing holistically. You must be able to sit down and say, what is the interest of our people? Yes, you could fail them, but are we getting the educational tools needed to give them proper education? Are we just going to be assembling people who go to feed and go back home and sleep and tomorrow think of the food that is not even nutritious enough? Because like I said, mind you, what are they going to give them? Beef? How much is a kilo of beef today? Is 100 naira going to provide it for them? What are they going to give them? Egg? How much is one egg today? Egg is 150 naira. So we are looking at that. If anything that is not properly calculated, and people are doing it haphazardly, they just pass the budget now, just pass the budget. It means that they are just passing the budget for themselves, not for the children you are talking about. We must see that our schools are no longer long span. This long thing they just build around. Schools are now like a multi-faceted playground with educational learning tools that are now interactive in nature. Government should invest in that. Look, let me tell you what impresses children. You know it. You bring some toys to your children today. You see that for 2 hours they are enjoying themselves. It sharpens their brain. You understand? To be able to understand better. We can incorporate feeding process into this whole thing. But first of all, sincerely, we must get our auditing right. We must get the transparency process right. We must get the accountability process right. And we must pass the budget of school feeding program in a way that it will be guided by the United Nations and all other relevant agencies for a proper healthy child. And for that, we must also get the environment, the learning environment right, which is number one for me. Get the teachers trained, give them proper. We know the kind of teachers that taught us. From the kind of teachers that taught me, I know them. They were not rich, but they were very contented because the current inflation was not as high as it is today. They could provide for themselves. Teachers were a place of pride. Today, people no longer want to teach because public schools have been abandoned. You can't abandon something that people have no interest in. How many graduates will stand up today and say that they want to be part of the school learning process? How many graduates? I'm asking you because it's very painful when you have graduates that will not come up and say that they want to participate in a process and say, oh, let me go and teach in the primary school. No, these graduates run away. They won't come. You ask yourself if it was conducive enough, if their interest was protected by the governing laws that say graduate teaching, people teaching in public schools will receive certain amount of money, will have accommodation. Before our headmasters used to live in our school compound.
Very true.
Teachers have school quarters. Today, none of that exists. And we're jumping the gun and say we're feeding the children. What would the children learn?
Very true, very true. Yeah, very true. We sincerely do appreciate everything you've said. Right about now, we have Yunusa Tanko, Chief Spokesperson of the Obi Edati campaign. Good morning, Yunusa. Hello, Yunusa Tanko, you can hear me? Good morning. We're still having that technical glitch, actually. But President Fansofeli, I did ask, so what do you think we have done enough of? Have we checked corruption?
The objective of this school feeding is to ensure that the children learn. Do you understand? And that they learn under an environment that is attractive, an environment that is encouraging, so that most of the children who are out of school can be, brought back to school. The idea should entrench beyond just feeding them. There should be a national hunt for children out of school to be brought into the school fold. That's another part of it. If not that these ministers and these officials are so corrupt, by now we should have stabilized feeding of the children. And now we should have started another phase of it, which is to go into the city, the streets, expressway where children are hawking, harvest them into this to reduce that number that is out of school that we have. That's an embarrassment. Okay. Now I agree with Chief that why should you embolden corruption by revamping this policy when you have not dealt with the issue that made you suspend it? The minister that you suspended, you have not prosecuted her. The other one is under investigation. The third one, the same thing. So if you have not dealt with them, are you revamping this to draw more government officials into the net of corruption? Or you are revamping it to make a difference? It should be to make a difference. And the only way you can make a difference is to punish those when humans get to the point where they are given leadership role and they take the food or money that belong to children. They have no conscience. Resources that belong to children, they embezzle it and turn around and make sure that the program fails. It means that this set of persons shouldn't lead at all. And I also fought the government for appointing people based on compensation. Those who work for a given political party, your campaign and all that, you gather them and you appoint them. You don't know whether they are fit and proper in learning and character for the job, or whether they have the moral, they have the passion for it. You just put them there.
So they did this as a form of transactional leadership.
It's transactional leadership now. What Bette do? What qualification does he have to man that position?
She's been a commissioner in Cross River State.
And that is all there is to it. Does she have the heart and feeling for that office? Does she know? I mean, people who. Why didn't you even appoint teachers to go and man that role, since they are the ones that understand the classroom? Give that assignment to teachers. That is it. Elevate their status. They don't have to be your political party members. Look for teachers around the country that have integrity. Let them go and do that thing. That is their area. Not a remote person because she was a commissioner before and all that. That's not enough.
All right. Hi, Chief. Just before we wind up, I would love to ask you on this particular issue. I know you are a strong critic of this policy itself, asking that what should be done first should be done before we move on to the next one. But I'd love to ask you issues bordering on equity. Currently, what is making waves right now is on the NEL Fund. Right? The NEL Fund released the list of universities. It is funding for the school loan. Right? And every university, every state and federal university in the southeast and the south were not included in that particular list. Now, the growing concern now is that there is a conscious marginalization of the southeast and the south region with NEL Fund. How much do you think there will be equity in this school feeding program? Hello? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, beautiful.
When I saw that list,
yes,
I was really broken and disappointed, because one of the things you do is that you are not just doing inclusivity. To have an inclusive process is a hallmark of democracy in our honest foundation. Because if you have a process that excludes others and treat others specially, it is against the necessary doctrines that we practice a democratic nation. Because when you look at exclusion of the Southeast and the South on that list, what happened? What was the criteria used to be able to give other regions and other schools to benefit from that? What was the criteria? Within which parameters? So this is why I tell you that this government has a problem. The problem of this government is hasty decision-taking process and hasty conclusions without proper study. Because for you to take decision, you must have a very wide consultation, a very deep-rooted consultation, and then you do a step-by-step analysis of this process, and then see that the impact of that decision that you are going to take, and then take that decision. Because instead of giving one complete session 100% and give another complete session nothing, it doesn't speak well of any government at all. Because the people must feel that they belong. And this government, the government of Nigeria, is not the government of region. We're not running a regional government. We're running a federal system. A federal system that encompasses the whole Nigeria as one unit. So you must have that respect to not have it as state. If you are going to have state by state, why not start from south, and this southwest? So when favoritism, when the act of trying to say, this is our people, this is what matter most, this is what we should start with, we have our vote here. When it's all based on politics, like my brother there said, when it's not based on competence, merit, and ability, when it's driven by the interest to be able to think of the next election, government fail. Government will continually fail when they don't do things and put it in right perspective. So for us to get this country right, like I've said, for school, you must start to build the schools to work. To have all the necessary amenities that will make school comfortable. People should be able to sit on desks that they will not be hurting in 1 hour and be hurrying to go back home. People should be able to sit in learning conducive environment. How much is air condition? All their children attend private schools that has air condition. Why not have a deal with one of these multinational companies that does about AC and say you are going to supply ACs in all our schools,
public schools,
and then have a deal with the local Nigeria and say you are going to put window frame in all the schools so that the schools can be conducive. It's not a big deal. Nigeria has the money, just being wasted. The corruption should be stopped. The reason why they should produce the report of why suspensions was carried out, what money was missing, who stole the money, and that report should be provided and then handed over to the EFCC so that we will know where we are going from here. We can't continue to cover one gap and start a new chapter without dissecting what happened in the last paragraph. So we have issues here. Our government are not interested in developing our country. They are not interested in working for the good of the common man. They have politicized all actions of government. They have made our government a tool to benefit party members and benefit supporters instead of thinking of Nigeria. Instead of thinking of what is the way this contract, there's no good transparent process for awarding contract for out of school for feeding program. I've never seen any of the transparent bidding process where people will genuinely build and then say, oh, I got it. You will see celebration. If there's transparency in the process, like in the 80s, in the 90s, young children, young boys who come from villages who apply for contract and get it. But today, there's no young man that can just go and bid for contract and get it without knowing somebody, either from the National Assembly or from the executive. So we have a problem that is hitting deep into the national fabric of our country. And for us to solve it, we must continue to collaborate with ourselves, with the media, and with the people on the street to tell government, you cannot continue to ride us and then ask us not to ask questions.
Very, very apt. And I have Yunusa Tanko. Good morning, Yunusa. Well, good morning, Yunusa.
His mic is muted.
Yeah, I think your mic is... Can you unmute, please? Yes, I can hear you. Thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. Sorry for the impasse, technical glitch.
Yeah, we understand. We truly do understand. So actually, we were talking about the school feeding program that the administration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu is about to kickstart yet again. Of course, after the lots of issues that it did have. Now let's take a look at that. One of the biggest problem with the school feeding program over the years is issues of corruption. Another is underfunding, inadequate storage facilities, and political interference, equally low level of implementation. Do you think the current administration would do anything different from what we have experienced in the past?
Why should you expect anything different? After all, the present president said he was going to continue from where Muhammadu Buhari stopped. And then I remember the FCT minister saying, as at that time he was on the other side of the aisle, saying that what good would you come out of somebody saying that he wants to continue from where the other man stopped? Or is it the issue of when you started feeding children when they are supposed to be on holiday? So all of these things make Nigeria look like a kind of a sketch play that is being implemented on the Nigerian people. But in any way, one wouldn't have expected anything different. They said that when the head of a fish is completely muddled and spoiled, the whole body of this fish actually to get infected. So in this case, I don't expect anything different from what they are doing. But one thing I'm so perturbed about is the level of hostility that we Nigerians show when we know in the eye of
Hello, Yunusa. Hello. Okay, I think we're still having this little.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah.
So,
well, when the interest of the people is being completely subverted, and then they are being looked like as if they are nothing. Let me give you a small statistics. The population of the Nigerian state is about 2,300,000 and something thousand. This was according to Worldometer. Out of that particular total submission, the sum of about 35 million or 36 million were also being stated to be internet users. This is according to data reporter. Now, out of that particular total number, they were more than the total number of registered voters who voted in the 2023 election. In 2023 elections, according to INEC, we had about 25 or so million people who voted. Now, the total number of people who are already in the social media are more than the total number of people who even voted in that election. That is to show you that's about how many percent would that represent the total number of people. We have about 200 and something million Nigerians. Yet we are being represented by only, out of those people, the people who voted for those who are representing us, only 25 million people. So you can see over how many percent of them were being represented. So that shows you the level of hostility of the Nigerian state. That is why the worst of us, with all due respect, are governing the best of us. The worst of us are the ones governing the best of us. So with regard to this particular issue of feeding of children, why would you even bring out the particular policy in the first place? It's an insult. You are insulting the sensibility of the Nigerian state, Nigerian people. In even a country where democracy has triumphed, like in the issue of the vice president to Kamala Harris, who promoted this particular idea of school feeding, that when you come to school, you must feed in the school. When you come to school, you must feed in the morning and you must feed before you go home. It was done by Wills. That's the vice presidential candidate of Kamala Harris in his own state. But you see in Nigeria, the people themselves, the parents of the children themselves, are they fed? Are they fed?
Very true.
People don't need handouts.
Very true. So
we don't need handouts. What will enable all the people to try so that they can feed their children. Even if they go to school, that will be an additional advantage. Maybe it's not additional to show that the people care, the country, the government care. But what they are doing is just to conscribe and use the people's head, trying to tell them that we care about you. It's all politics, but there's no genuinity in it at all. So I do not support this particular feeding program. Whatever they want to do, they should invest it into small-scale industry to make sure that every local government, every ward in this state have a local domicile industry that will allow the people to be able to feed themselves and feed their wards. When the wards go to school, they should be able to have additional, because we have enough resources to do it. So they should not use it as an opportunity, according to Pi, to steal money to prepare themselves for 2027 general election. That is exactly what they are doing.
Thank you so very much, Tanko. And High Chief would love to have your parting shot on this. He talked very critically about the desire of the present government using all of this, tactics and all to prepare for 2027. How true do you make of this submission from Tanko?
For me, the APC government generally, since their adoption of office, have only been interested in playing politics. Their interest is only to play politics, that to stay in power. They have never had the interest of trying to work, to benefit the people. I'm saying this as a matter of fact. If you look at even when the subsidy, the problem we are in today is a problem created by a plan, on structure, on an unmitigated disaster that should have been stopped by those in government. They created an artificial problem by just announcing that subsidy is gone. You've not checked the file, you've not checked the document, you've not seen what the cost of the subsidy is, you don't even have any review, and then you say that. And then that day alone, filling stations increased their fuel pump price to over 800 naira. And then the transportation cost for normal civil servant increased over 300%. The country crashed. And for you to now say that what this policy you are bringing, I've never seen a policy document related to this policy, apart from saying it was 17 naira per child, or increased to 100 naira per child under now, and now the 100 naira is no longer sustainable, because one egg is now 150 naira, a kilo of meat, you know how much it is. So now it's no longer sustainable. They are looking at private and public partnership. I think whether if they really want to avoid politics in all of this, if they want to say this money is not being embezzled in order to generate resources enough to manipulate the 2027 election, what they should do is to sit down on a non-partisan basis with all professionals who knows this thing, like my brother in the studio talk about, professionals who are educated, who can review the processes and then have a standard modus operandi for how this government investment should go. And for me, priorities matter. To prioritize issues matter. I've told you, our school environment is not conducive enough. The total state of decay, total state of disrepair, and these teachers are not even committed to teaching the students like they were committed in teaching me. I am telling you this. I went to public school all my life. I went to Global College. I went to community school Shomolu. I went to community school in my village. I can tell you they are not committed enough because their welfare has been taken for granted. Look at what ASUU is asking for. ASU University, ASU has been asking for money for years. Government can't meet it, about 200 billion naira a year. But government is buying private jet. Government does not have a priority, right? For government to move forward, government must sit down and see, are we put in office to govern ourselves or to govern the people right? Because the essence of government is to provide welfare and provide amenities and security and protect lives. Because we know why that initiative was done in our constitution. If you have an environment where security is there, where properties are secure, people will invest and the economy will go up. If you continue with this tokenism, this feeding bottle arrangement, then we will be living in a perpetual state of non-developed economy. Because our economy will thrive, like my brothers have said. We must be able to encourage how our small and medium-scale enterprises will survive. How every country in the world, it's not the big industry that survives them. I'm an economist. It's not. Go and look at America as a country. Look at China. It is the small and medium-scale enterprises that sustain. There is a mainstay of every economy. And if we are not concentrating that, why are we not investing? We have created a prototype of things and we have never followed it up. We came up with polytechnics that should be able to be in technical and technology-driven process. We have abandoned it and made them a social studies center. We have a vocational system. If we refuse to put so much pressure on degree awarding institutions and train those who have capacity to learn vocation and give them the necessary resources to start up in these vocational decisions that they have taken or training, then you find out this small unit of employment will cascade into developing an economy that is sustainable, that will promote growth and will promote development. School feeding program to spend 540 billion, yearly or more is not sustainable in this economy where we are living on debt, where we are living on servicing of our already inherited debt, when our government priorities is basically to give themselves luxury, buy yacht, buy private jet that we don't need. So I want to focus on the school environment, that there must be interactive learning board. You will have the toilet well built so that children will come back home with disease after eating less minority food, nutrient-driven food. You have a playground for the children, have necessary toys for the creche and for the school. That's all I think is possible for us to drive our school system into a well-nurtured environment to bring our future leaders.
Thank you so very much, High Chief. We truly do appreciate your time. Finally, Vice Vance Ofeli, with all that have been said from High Chief, from Yunus Atanku, and from some Nigerians, it seemed to us like President Bola Ahmed Tinubu all the while is very busy trying to patch a leaking keg. What do you think he should do at this point? Is it to replace this keg or just keep trying to maintain it?
Well, Yunus Atanku alluded to the fact that this reintroduction of this project is not unconnected to politics. You see, to lend my voice to that, I am so tempted, okay, because of the fact that they are just reenacting the wheel. Okay, I'm so tempted to believe that perhaps this is not an altruistic move, because it's quite clear that what led to the collapse of the project before the suspension, those issues have not been addressed. So if anybody tells me that this is about politics, I will not be restrained to agree with him. Yeah, because, I mean, what concerted effort have they put into ensuring that if we have a reintroduction, we're not going to go back to where it is? So you talk about the president patching this cake, that which is better, get a new cake or keep patching this? If the president is sincere, and this government, if they are sincere, they should know that this is not a time to reintroduce this project. But the president, in his same thoughtlessness and impulsive approach to all projects, we just wake up one morning and say they want to introduce it. Now that you want to reintroduce it, what have you put in place to ensure that it does not go in the way of the former? You will not hear that, you will not see any of that. So one of the biggest problems we have in this APC government, as supervised by the president, is that decisions are not well thought out. Policies are unguarded. okay, the vision and the focus of this administration is unknown to anybody. Okay, it is even possible that the administration itself does not know its own vision and does not know exactly where it's going to, and does not know exactly where it's taking 200 million people to. When you put all this together, you now discover that this perhaps may be the emergence of this president might as well be regarded as an unfortunate political accident, because we are not where we used to be. We are not where we should be. We are not anywhere in between where we were and where we ought to be. And it does not bother them. So, what this president have successfully done is to disrupt the lives of the citizens, disrupt everything about it, and not being able to couple anything back to place. The economy is not coming back to health any soon by the economic projection. Okay? Cost of living is not coming back to health any soon. Transportation, all facets of life, education, public health care, don't even talk about it. Nothing is coming back to health. This government met some of these things under control. If they were not on drip, some of them were belly aching or on dialysis. But when he came, he removed all the medications, gathered all and threw them away. And since he did that, he has not propounded one solution to all the problems it has created. So if you have not created one solution, all the problems are created. So who are you leading? Where are we going to? Is it not better that you take us back to where we were before? And let's remain there, than for him to pull us out from there, take us to cross the road, left us there, and walk away. So this is a very dangerous situation. And for me, this school feeding program, I think they should rest it for now. They should rest it until this government, if ever they will come to understand what it is to govern, they should rest it until that time. But you see this introduction, and all, this president does not listen to anybody. This analysis we are doing now, you can even bring it before him, and he will listen to it, and he will not use, just like the protesters. The protesters, set forth their demands and say, this demand, address this demand, Mr. President. You understand? After the protest had gone on for some days, he promised that he was going to address the nation. On the day he was to address the nation, he didn't say one thing about all the demands. Is that the president that's going to lead you to El Dorado? I think our problem has just begun.
Our problem has just begun. We actually have a long haul to go with close to 2 years plus or 3 years plus. Let's see how that goes, of course. And we truly do wish the president well and his administration well. But of course, that will be possible when they understand the needs of the people. Love to say a big thank you to High Chief Peter Ahmed for being part of our show. Thank you so very much, Chief. All right, and Yunus Atanko, thank you also so much for being part of our program today. Thank you so very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you, Yunus Atanko. Okay, maybe his is gone. Pastor Van Sofeli, thank you. As always.
Thank you very much for having me.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we truly do appreciate your time. Thank you so very much. So that's the size of our package today. We'd love to say thank you to you watching from wherever it is around the world. Thank you so very much. But please do well to visit our site at enterprisetvnews.com for more information, and like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye from us.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.